dude, I just came up with that.
Josh has already started.
That was good.
Josh has started Dawgs Central After Dark off on the right foot by slurring the opening here at 10 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday after a day of college football. I love it. I love it.
But he did come up with a nice saying on the spot, I think.
That
Josh?
was legit on the spot, like not rehearsed. If anybody knows how these shows start, there's nothing rehearsed about them.
I love it.
Look, the UGA Who's Mafia gif still lives in infamy with the excited. This is amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
That pisses the wife off so bad.
All right. Well, we are live at Dawgs Central After Dark on a Saturday. Georgia beating the brakes off of Auburn 42-10. Although, if you ask some people, we didn't beat the brakes off Auburn. I thought a 32-point win, 500 yards of offense, 292 rushing yards. Rewind to 2020. I want someone to rewind to 2020 and tell me what you would have given to beat a team 42-10 with 292 rushing yards, 500 yards of total offense, and essentially, besides that long touchdown run with a missed tackle, hold them to 3 points.
I mean, message board genius is a genius thing for lack of a better phrase, because everything, the goalposts move, and that's why we have message boards, right? So, we've been teasing each other, it's like, oh, the running game's no good. And then the running game's good. And it's like, what's wrong with Stetson? And it's like, and it's for me personally, it's easy to be patient because we got the ring, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm enjoying the ride. Like I've actually literally never enjoyed it before. So we should introduce everybody. We got Jim from My God, a Podcast, which hopefully you guys know. And we got Craig Lawson from myriad of projects, but he's currently one of our writers or one of the writers on Dawgs Central. Craig, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been sort of a weird start. The Oregon game was I was like, man, maybe we're just going to steamroll everybody. And then, at some point.
Well, South Carolina, I think for me it was South Carolina, right? Yeah, I think it was South Carolina when I was like, maybe no one's going to be able to touch us, which was foolish because this is a young team, a young Georgia team. This is a team that we knew, if you listen to Kirby, even though we all know his coach speak, we knew that there were things happening that this team needed to get better at. But I agree with you, Craig. There were a couple weeks there where I was like, I'm not sure anybody's going to touch us. And again, let's be clear. Tonight we're talking about we just won a game by 30. Georgia just won a game by 32 points. So everything that we say, is caveated in just won a game by 32 against an SEC West team.
You're saying rewind to 2020. I say rewind to this morning. I mean, I think John 30-17. I mean, the spread. Can you also hear me, by the way? Sorry, I just changed mine.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Right. I was worried. I mean, we covered the spread, and it was a huge spread. I mean, I don't know. Like, what else do you want?
There was some wonkiness in there that I think was frustrating in the first half, and some, even though it didn't matter, like you got Ladd fumbling the punt, and he's had a couple of rough weeks, and you kind of start thinking, all right, here we go again. And you get to halftime, and it's 14-0, and then we come back out from the half, and it's an immediate turnover, and then Auburn. And it's not like you think we're going to lose, but I think everybody at this point is like, all right, we have to repeat, and we forget sometimes that Alabama. What if they have one undefeated season where they went all the way through and won it? As Georgia fans, we feel like, Alabama's just been steamrolling people for 15 years. They don't play close games. They don't ever lose. That's how I feel. I have to check myself a lot of times because I feel like as a Georgia fan, I want us to take that baton and be the next, I'd settle for half of what they have accomplished. And I think that's maybe what a lot of fans are dealing with, including me sometimes. And then, I need to get slapped back to reality. But 42-10 over Auburn at home is it's not a great performance. I mean, there was a lot of wonkiness in that game. Yeah. And we still beat them 42-10, a hated rival. It's a good time to be a Dog fan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Kirby. So after the game today on the radio, I was listening to a recording of it on the way home because I went to the game, and Kirby said, he said, we had a slow start. He acknowledged, the slow start on offense. He acknowledged some of the mistakes that were made. But the way that Kirby Smart talked about it today was this team. He was praising the defensive line. He was praising the linebacker play. He was praising the way the offense got going and the offensive line, specifically in the second half. I mean, I think, there are things that when you look in the totality of it, I saw folks on Twitter, talking today about what does this mean for Georgia now you had the third slow start in a row. This was a very different game, even with a slow start that Kirby Smart himself acknowledged this was a very different game than the slow start versus Kent State or the slow start versus Missouri, right? I mean, you're up 14-0 at halftime. Your defense, the defensive line, I was so impressed by Bear Alexander, Zion Logue,
reset the line of scrimmage.
Man, those guys were playing lights out today, missing Jalen Carter, who was injured. And again, Auburn's offensive line is obviously not world beaters, but watching them play today is exactly what – there was no slow start on that defensive line. And one of the things that Kirby said is he said today that they they chose to force pressure, even if it meant that they were going to give up some third down conversions, that they were going to prioritize getting pressure on the quarterback. And so he acknowledged that they gave up some third down conversions because they were so committed to getting pressure today on Robbie Ashford. And you saw that. I mean, I think the guy threw more balls away than he completed today because Georgia was chasing him all over the field. And so again, acknowledging the slow start, I think there's a lot of overreaction today to what some folks were seeing on the offensive side of the ball and not enough emphasis on what we saw from the defensive side of the ball, specifically that defensive line getting after it.
I think, Jim, all right, first of all, I'm going to talk in a second, but you guys were both at the game. Craig and I watched at home, right? You were at home, Craig?
Yeah.
And so I was watching Twitter and reading Twitter throughout the game. So, Jim, I always praise you guys for just being like the perfect sort of Georgia fan of, you know a lot. You follow the news all week long. You don't just drop in on Saturday and stuff. But what was the vibe in the stadium? Was it? And I don't know how much you were in tune with the Twitter thing and how negative it was. Was the vibe sort of the same in the 300 section today?
Yeah. So I would say the vibe. I did not feel negative in the stadium to me. And John, by the way, was sitting with me. So John and I actually went to our first game together today ever. He came and sat with me. I would say, it was loud early, very, especially on third downs. I think the crowd was into it. I'm a little hoarse, honestly. I was yelling my head off, getting up loud to cheer on that defense.
So the stadium was loud. It was jacked up, right?
I didn't know the Twitter stuff until you guys were sending it to me after the game, honestly.
Yeah. What I will say is, the second quarter, things were up and down in there, right? I mean, I think obviously I did feel every time Auburn had the ball that I even tweeted this, that Sanford Stadium was juiced. Like I felt like that there was good energy. Kirby mentioned on his radio interview that I listened to that he said when he runs out of the field, he always looks up in the rafters. He's like, I always look up in the top of the stadium and see if there are any empty seats. And he's like, there weren't any empty seats today. So I knew that, that the fans were coming to bring it. And I think, the fans affected the game, right? I think Auburn had a couple of false starts, I didn't feel any of the negative energy. What I did feel was, obviously, like people, Jim and I were talking about, we were sitting right beside each other, where it was like Stetson missing a couple of passes, and it was kind of you could tell that we still were not quite there. in the first half on offense. But I didn't feel any of the energy that, as I was reading tweets when I got to the car. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what?
And I don't want to. I don't want to hammer. I don't want to hammer on Twitter, and especially because they retweet our stuff, they interact with us and stuff. But it was decidedly pointed at Stetson. Like it was the get somebody else in there kind of calls. I mean, it was like it was Craig and I we were talking how negative we were about sort of the quarterback play in 2020. But it and definitely I was fired up to say that nicely about the quarterback situation back then. But he's like, dude, you can't ask anything more. It's his job. I mean, it's like ride or die. I mean, I don't know how much more you need to see to trust, a professional $3 million a year offensive coordinator and a $10 million a year off coach to say, we know who should be under center, and so, and we're 6-0. I get it. People want to, I don't know what it is. I don't know. We're 6-0 and we get the yards we need to, we get the points we need to. Maybe we've just been completely spoiled by blowing everybody out last year.
Well, no,
that doesn't happen a lot. I mean, I mean, I'm watching Kansas State, who's having a great year, and they're 10-9 in the fourth quarter on their, it's just like it's damn hard to win these games. The other team wants to win too.
Yeah. Well, we can. I've talked a lot so far, so I want to hear y'all's thoughts too. But Stetson for me, and this team overall. I mean, we watched right now. I have the game on right now. Alabama, it's 24-14 with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. We watched Alabama lose to Texas A&M last year on the road, right? Like this Georgia team is 6-0, is finding ways to win. And I think the difference is coming off a national championship and seeing, Craig brought it up, seeing Oregon, seeing South Carolina. Like, I do think that Georgia fans, when you see how good it can be, and I don't blame people for being like, I watched this offense run screen game to tight ends and running backs and absolutely blow the doors off of Oregon and South Carolina. Why can't we continue to do that? And I would argue that you're the 6th game in. I mean, these are SEC. No matter how how bad we think these coaching staffs are, they're still SEC caliber coaching staffs. They still are like they're trying to find ways to match up with what you do well and force you to do something else. And so Georgia's having to find ways to win having to find different ways to win. And today, man, that second half, you talk about finding a different way to win. I mean, Branson Robinson, Dajan Edwards, and just running it down their throat. And Stetson even taking off. I mean, that, those are things that my brother, shout out Dawgs Forever on Twitter, tweeted Carson Beck could never do that after Stetson ran that touchdown. And that wasn't a shot at Carson Beck, but it was like everybody's calling for, somebody else. And then this guy does something and you realize like, maybe that's why he's in the game. Like maybe he's in the game because he can.
How long was that run?
I think
64 yards. It's the, I think I heard it was the second longest touchdown run by a quarterback.
Since Aaron Murray, Tennessee.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's been a long time.
That's what it reminded me of was 2012 or something like that, where he took off at Neyland when it was the game everybody got hurt. But that's what it reminded me of. But hey, how about shout out to our guy Graham Coffey, the best scheme guy, the best film guy, who covers Georgia football for my money. How about that gap scheme that he talked about? And listen, I feel like I consider myself a football guy. I didn't know what gap scheme was until Graham told us about it. But after learning about that, and that's exactly what we went to a lot with those guards pulling, and it worked. Even with Kendall Milton going out, which I know there's, he's a guy that can hit the hole. I mean, I really thought the young guy like Branson Robinson.
Shout out Dawgs Central After Dark.
Yeah.
Hit the hole.
I mean, Neuheisel actually talked specifically about that. It was like, and I get it, Graham was all over it. Graham explained it, and that's why, it's fun to do these shows, and I mean, every time I do one, I learn something. But it was like, man, it was not hard to think that maybe he popped in for a little bit or something, or saw maybe Foster's thing or whatever, because he specifically talked about this is a zone run, this is a gap run, like all through the first half. It was wild.
Yeah. Go for it, Craig.
I have a gripe with the backup second string defensive backfield, because I had Auburn under 9.5 for the game. And I know
that was not the backup.
Smith.
That was first team missed tackle.
Well, it was I think Dalen Everett was in there, wasn't he? He's back up. Tyke was back up this week. I mean, I know he got in there, and there was a third guy in there. I don't want to say a name. I know who I think it might have been. I don't know off the top of my head, but that was putrid. And I know that they'll get crushed about it on film, and it doesn't matter for the season. But for I think it was a $15.
Your personal economy,
my personal economy, and then our rage bet Bama minus 24, which I'm not sure how that's gonna. With the little money I had left, I'm trying to Hail Mary it here. So we'll see. Although it would be hilarious if they did lose to Texas A&M. But yeah, that really with the defense though, because Jalen Carter's out, Smile Mondon didn't play. Was Tresman? Is this it?
No, this is.
The right guard.
Yeah, that's the right guard. I want to talk about the Pablo Escobar tweet for a second.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, move on. Well, did Tresman play today? 15?
I didn't hear his name called. If he did,
yeah, I feel like he was. I didn't know. I don't remember hearing that he was injured. But Ryan Davis is in there a lot, so that we are missing a lot. I'm very happy with it. Malachi Starks almost pulled off another interception like he did against Oregon. I mean that's an incredible pass breakup, regardless of whether he came down with the ball or not.
I'm not an X's and O's guys, and I'm going to say something probably cliche, but it's like that kid's got a nose for the ball in the air. You know what I mean? I love guys that tackle. I love guys that keep the play in front of them and don't give it the big play. Yeah. But, man, to have a playmaker that just goes and gets the damn ball is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I call him a ball hawk.
Yeah.
That's just something that I personally say.
Ball hawk.
Y'all can use
nose for the ball.
You can use that if you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's, what I will say too is.
All right. So Jeremy's calling Dan Jackson out.
That's who I thought, but I didn't want to say it if it wasn't.
Dan Jackson knows
Jackson Everett and Tyke Smith, and I think I haven't gone back and watched the game because I was traveling home from the game, but I think they were trying to strip the ball too. I think that was part of it. It's like Kirby mentioned poor tackling when he talked about. He said the defense played well. He said they broke that long run the second half because of poor tackling. He was calling that out already. After the game, Kirby called out two things that I really appreciated. One, called out there were a couple, the way he talked about poor tackling on that play, and the way he talked about some of the timing on some of the throws. You could tell that the practice is going to get good on those things this week. But he also, Kirby also said Vanderbilt is a good team, and so. So he wasted no time going right to we got Vanderbilt next week and they're a good team, and he mentioned
they hung in there today.
I think he mentioned their win over Hawaii or something. Like he mentioned something that he's trying. So, but yeah, they did.
The Rebs.
They absolutely did. All right.
I just want to talk about Auburn for a second.
Go for it.
If you're not following Pablo Escobar and Barning Hard, they're good Auburn follows. They're smart and funny. And he tweeted this out during the just a complete whiff by the right guard. And I popped on the Auburn spaces. I channeled my inner Chris Marlar hanging out on an Auburn space. And it was those guys. I mean, obviously Harsin and how quickly you get fired and who's going to be the next coach, and and they apparently they don't like their offensive line coach either. Just like Georgia Twitter doesn't like our offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, so like it could be way worse, guys. You could be hanging out halftime spaces, thinking if every single thing had broken your way, you could be tied 7-7. And I tweeted it out. Georgia thought we should be up 24-0. And and sorry, here we go. I'm gonna put this up there. Yeah, 4 turnovers.
Well, we'll talk about that game in a minute. Let's keep talking about Auburn real quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. Am I the only one that can do that? You can't do that. I'm the only one that can do that.
No, you're the only one that can do it. So wait, actually, no, you're the only one that can do it.
I'm walking and talking at the same time.
It's all right. We're good. This is Dawgs Central After Dark. This is off the cuff. So
and I've got some, and just like everybody in the Southeast knows and probably has good friends. I mean, I know that that John talked about it in the My God podcast preview and stuff, and it's like they're down, like legitimately embracing the we're a basketball school thing. So I mean, it's just like
yeah. I mean, Auburn's in a tough situation. I personally enjoy it as someone who is a lifelong Georgia fan and doesn't care for Auburn. But they are in a tough situation because you're going to fire Brian Harsin. You're going to have to figure out, they don't have an athletic director right now. So that's probably going to have to be hired before you hire a football coach. And then now all of a sudden you're competing, which Auburn, I still think is a good job, but you are going to be competing with more and more Power 5 jobs that are going to come open. And so, I think it'll be interesting to see. I thought this was the round that after the Gus Malzahn debacle, that this was the round that maybe we would have seen some culture change at Auburn. But then I thought Auburn's been the same it's been for 40 years. Like, I think those trustees are going to try to run the program as long as they can. And I don't know that that's going to change.
Do y'all have any names for who you think the replacement could be? I've got 2, but I didn't know if y'all had any off the top of your head. I don't know if they will get them,
I don't know. Have any intel? Like if I were an Auburn fan, who would I want to be? I mean, who would I want them to go? I mean, certainly I would want them to go after Monken, but and Matt Rule's a guy that's coming after games because he's going to be canned pretty soon up there in Jim's neck of the woods. He might get canned after he gets rolled. Who are they playing? They're playing
Smith.
Daniel Smith?
No, he's on the same thought pattern with myself. I'm thinking Lane. He's a Saban foil. He's already complaining about the crowd in Oxford.
Yeah. I don't think Lane is happy in Oxford. Like, I think he's there. He's proving that he can win there. But his comments about the crowd and some of the things he said this year, NIL was another one where he was really challenging kind of the boosters of Ole Miss. I definitely think he's in a situation where he would jump from Ole Miss to Auburn.
It would worry me as a Georgia fan if Lane did go to Auburn, what he could potentially accomplish there. And there's another former Ole Miss coach who I'm not sure if he would have the chops to get there. But
Tuberville?
Not Tuberville. I think he's still in DC.
That's a win-win.
I'm talking about a guy who might bring his hospital bed with him.
Yeah,
that's actually just too perfect. The synergy of Hugh Freeze and
of the
Auburn
barn,
just too good. It's just
only Auburn could do that. Could pull that off.
Right?
Like, is he even allowed back in the league? Like,
I don't. That's the thing. I don't know if Greg Sankey.
They hired Pearl.
Sankey might nix it.
Come on, it's like
that is true though.
That's basketball though. Basketball. They have FBI investigations in basketball. Like if you don't have the FBI on you in college basketball, then like you're probably okay to be rehired again.
Pearl was lied about hosting a cookout. Hugh Freeze was texting hookers on burner phones. So there's it's a little different. And I don't judge him.
Sin in the eyes of the Lord, man.
He went to Liberty
Amen.
and is a changed man. He
went
to Liberty and found Jesus. He did say in his opening press conference that Jesus was the only person who could handle his junk. And so I think you said it. Jesus is the only one who can handle my junk. So
welcome to Dawgs Central After Dark.
Welcome to Dawgs Central After Dark.
This is what we need. We need more of this.
So my podcast friend of the show, Tim Riley, has primetime in there as well. Has anyone said Deion yet? I hadn't heard that. I know I've heard it throughout the week and stuff.
Josh, do you have the interaction with Eddie Robinson in primetime today? There was a kerfuffle. There was a kerfuffle between primetime and Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson Jr. or whatever, right?
Junior, from Alabama State. But they
because Eddie Robinson Sr. that would have been news. That would have been cool.
No. I think Eddie Robinson said something like, "Deion's not SWAC. I'm SWAC. He ain't SWAC. I'm SWAC." And they had a little handshake where Eddie Robinson kind of where Eddie Robinson Deion like patted him on the head or something. Like, it was a weird situation. So if y'all haven't seen that, it's on Twitter. There's a little bit feels like there's a little bit of animosity brewing with primetime in the SWAC at the moment.
Yeah, because I mean, how would you like to be competing in that level and get the number one player in the land and drop some money in his pocket? It's got to be tough. So I mean, I think Arizona State to me seems like such a good spot for Deion. Mm-hmm. You know, he can do whatever he wants. You know, he can recruit. I mean, like, you know, Georgia Tech's not happening. I don't think Auburn's going to happen. I just can't see it. I can see Hugh Freeze. I can't see Deion.
Why isn't Tech happening? Is it because Deion wouldn't do it, or because Tech wouldn't do it, or both?
I just think, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, like
not a good fit.
Not a good fit, you know. And I also think that I mean, like, the city of Atlanta, great, you know, but Georgia Tech, I mean, like, you know, I don't know if he's a rebuilder. You know, and I think he can do a lot with what he's got. But I mean, that program.
Deion's not going to join for some of the academic. It's not even academic. It's like a lot of it's self-imposed with the admissions process and stuff like that. And Georgia Tech isn't going to put the money into the program. Georgia Tech, I think their best bet is to roll with Brent Key. I mean, the guy's 2-0. He went up to Pitt, won a game, beat Duke today. He was an offensive line coach for 2, maybe 3 years at Alabama, 2016 to 2018. He was the offensive line coach for that Alabama team that beat Georgia in the national championship. So he, you know, coached under Saban, a Georgia Tech alum. I mean, Georgia Tech, I don't think that they could do better than that guy. And I think he's going to have the right to earn it. Now, for Deion, I agree. Arizona State is where I would go if I was Deion. Phoenix, so you have a mass exodus from California, and with that exodus from California, a lot of Californians are going to Arizona, and California has some good football players, and those football players and their families who have invested a lot of time and training and camps and all these things are now ending up in Arizona. And that's why you see, you know, some of these players, if you look at the 24/7 is a good site for this. If you look at the top rated players, you see a lot of them from Arizona. And I think
Keely Ringo.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a lot. I mean, you have, I think, isn't Raiola from California, from Arizona? Yeah, he's from Arizona. He's the 2024 number one rated quarterback. He's Chandler, Arizona. Like, you just got a lot of guys in that area that, you know, I think you go out there, and you also are going to be in a league that's not going to be as competitive. So,
all right. Speaking of the Pac-12, we're halfway through the season, or almost halfway through for a lot of teams. Who do you like in the Pac-12? Is USC for real?
Man, Dawgs Central. Wait. So Dawgs Central After Dark just parlayed into Pac-12 After Dark conversation. Is that like where we are?
Yeah, we could talk about Stetson prepared more.
Well,
go Ducks.
I wasn't prepared to talk about the Pac-12.
I'm not prepared for anything.
Other than.
That's a shucking job.
Jim, when we did our pregame show today, what did I say about UCLA? DTR, man. DTR.
Yeah.
I think one of the hosts in the Pac-12 preview said it was going to be UCLA USC.
Yeah.
I think that was me. I think it was. I might be just completely hallucinating that too.
I think you have, after today, I think you have USC, UCLA, and Oregon are the three that I think are fighting out for that league. Man,
yeah, Oregon's like under the radar for sure.
No good. Sorry, I'm watching the Bama game. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bama missed it. Yeah,
you're in the future.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to. That's annoying when people do that. So sorry that I was annoying.
That's okay.
So
That's
the people that watch this on Monday afternoon are going to be pissed. Spoiler alert.
Bama missed a kick.
Darth is Luke's father. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, Bama missed a kick again in 2022.
So Bama has regressed. So Bama has 4 turnovers tonight, and they're missing field goals again. They're missing field goals again. I think Jimbo has I think he put a hex on Nick Saban. I think he has there's some kind of voodoo that he has going on, because this Texas A&M team is horrible, and there is no way that Jimbo Fisher they should be hanging in with Alabama. We're about to be at the end of the third quarter, and it's a 24-17 game right now.
I'm concerned that if he loses his job, that they're going to get a good coach in there with all those players, and that could be a problem.
No, Jimbo,
sorry, Jim, I didn't cut you off.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying, because I got
an Alabama Ted text just now. He said Alabama Ted said he knew he was going to miss that kick.
Everyone did. Alabama Ted.
I'm just saying, how good is Mississippi State? I was thinking A&M's no good. They lost Mississippi State, but
I should send a link to Ted and let him come in here right at the end of it. Crucial. I mean, he's a real person. Josh, he's not my burner.
Josh, you got to pull up Daniel Smith, the latest comment. Milrow, mid-row. Man.
Hey kids, I know what mid means.
That's good.
Am I cool?
So Pac-12, who's winning the Pac-12 at this point? Let's make your picks. Let's go.
USC looks really legit, I think.
I had 4 TVs set up, and my wife took one back to the bedroom so she can watch her shows. So I don't have USC up anymore. What are they looking like?
I know. I'm going to say
24 to 14. They're driving on Washington State.
I told all the Oregon fans after leaving the stadium, I was like, look, y'all are probably the second best team in the country. It's just that you're not quite up with the Dogs yet, and y'all get there. And Oregon's up 28-13 over Arizona right now. Mm-hmm. Is Arizona any good this year?
No, they're not. I mean, I will say their
3-2.
Yeah, but Jaden DeLora, that guy can throw it. He can throw it around. Their defense is just not that great.
All right, I gave up on all the SEC games. They look to be over, and I got the CBS, and I got
South Carolina, Kentucky.
No, it's over. It's 24. They're up 10, and they just threw a pick, and it's 2 minutes ago.
Oh, it is. That's a big win, in my opinion, for Shane Beamer, because Graham had me convinced he was a complete clown, and this is in my opinion, a little unexpected.
Well,
I agree. So, what's up?
Did Levis play at all today?
No. But let's also talk about this though. Even with so the backup quarterback for Kentucky is a guy that is built in the mold of Terry Wilson, right? So it's a little bit of a throwback. It's that Kaya Sharon. And I don't mean that I don't mean that derogatorily. I just mean it's a guy, he's not
a polished passer.
Exactly. There you go. But even with that though, with South Carolina, with that offensive line and as poorly as Spencer Rattler has played, I didn't expect Kentucky to win this game even without. I didn't expect Kentucky to lose this game even without Will Levis. I think it's still a little bit of surprise.
It's the number 1 overall pick, John. So it's a big loss.
Levis.
That is making its way around. So I went to the Panthers game last week, and they're all everyone's over Baker Mayfield, and the people.
He's been there for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hey, you know how it works. And the guy behind me was I don't know, this Levis kid's supposed to be the number. I was no.
That's yeah.
That's Dan Marino.
Yeah. Somebody doubled down on Levis this week, even after the Ole Miss game, which I thought was wild.
We need to get Daniel in here. I mean, he's funnier than all of us.
No, he's on the dog. He's on the dog. He's so full disclosure, he's also my brother. But he's on the Dawgs Central Forum. Yeah. But no, so for those who
just kidding.
I don't know, people are listening to this, but Daniel said that Shane Beamer, these are the kind of wins that help people like Shane Beamer keep their job.
Which is good.
And I agree. It's on the road. It's yeah.
I don't know how many people are video nerds, and I'm usually not a big fan of streaming just because of the delay. But Fox has 4K streaming, and that shit looks good, dude. Looks awesome. Really, really, really good. So
got the first swear on Dogs After Dark.
Yeah, sorry, Carter.
No,
go to bed.
Fine. Oh, Carter. Sorry, Carter.
Past your bedtime, Carter.
Sorry, Carter.
All right, y'all tell me this. So we talked about Lane a little bit. Did anybody what happened with Vanderbilt? What happened with that game today that Vanderbilt was able to actually be leading that game 20-10 at one point?
I didn't actually see it until it was 17. Every time I saw it, Vanderbilt, was just putting together drives and was on, and then they punched him in, and then Mingo, I believe it's Mingo, just had a day, right, over 200 something yards. So I mean, it was just wide open. It was a situation where they probably sleepwalk into that game.
Okay.
And then all their Twitter fans probably want to replace Jackson Dart, and they probably they probably fumbled a punt, and everybody was talking about his girlfriend. Oh wait, sorry, that's the wrong Twitter.
Wrong Twitter.
It's like Mad Lib's Twitter.
So Vanderbilt went field goal, touchdown, and they were up 20-17 at the end of the half.
There we go. Tim nailed it. Bring in the comment, Josh. Ole Miss was on Broadway all night in Nashville. Forgot to show up. Ole Miss, Ole Miss, they were watching the bachelorette parties on Broadway until the wee hours in the morning. In Nashville, if you ever go to Nashville, the bachelorette party capital of the world, you will see bachelorettes doing the beer pedal carts where they're all sitting on these things and they're all like they're riding a bike and they're drinking beer at the same time, and these carts are coming up the street. So I think you're right, Tim. I think Ole Miss was on Broadway watching the Bachelorette do their beer pedal carts until the wee hours of the morning. Had to be it.
Eating hot chicken.
Yeah. I was just curious because, Georgia's got Vanderbilt coming up. I didn't know if Vanderbilt was actually trying to get a pulse. When you look at the second half of that game, though, I mean, Jackson Dart threw for 448 yards or something.
I don't want to downplay anything, but if we're actually to a point where we're going to actually have to think about Vanderbilt, we've got to rethink our lives.
Ole Miss turned it over on downs and had an interception in the first half, so that definitely helped Vanderbilt.
Yeah, got it.
Ole Miss turnover on downs? No way.
Hey, so since we're just off the cuff, for those that are joining and watching, this show is a little bit of, we call it Dawgs Central After Dark because we just ramble a little bit about college football after a day of watching it. Oss put in the YouTube chat, will Kansas be ranked after their loss? I think they played well. Kansas. So I think Kansas and TCU. I think TCU is for real. TCU, that offense. Josh, we talked about it a little bit this morning, but that TCU offense is legit.
Did you get 7.5, or did you get 7? Where were you laying on that?
I got 7.5. So Kansas covered.
You got the cover.
Yeah. I got the cover. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, if you got straight 7 with Kansas, you didn't cover.
And it opened at 6. I think it opened at 6.5 too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But will Kansas be ranked after the loss? I personally don't see how you have TCU, who was the biggest mover on the AP poll last week. If they weren't the biggest, they were pretty close. After they shellacked Oklahoma. Yeah, TCU was not ranked, and they came in at 17th last week. Kansas was not ranked, and they came in at 19th. I don't see how you take that game with two teams that you said, were not ranked before last week, and then all of a sudden they were ranked, and then they played each other, and one of them lost by a touchdown in a close game, and now all of a sudden you say that team isn't ranked anymore. I think Kansas has to stay ranked after that.
Yeah, I would say so too. I mean, it looks like they were 2 spots away from each other, and they played close like that. How that can't be too wrong.
Yeah, no, I would leave personally. I would leave Kansas at 19 because when I look at the last half of that, the AP poll this week was we'll just do 19 through 25 was Kansas, and then Kansas State, Washington lost, Syracuse, Mississippi State, Cincinnati, and LSU. I don't think any of those teams, after watching Kansas play TCU, I don't think any of those teams deserve to jump Kansas unless I didn't catch Kansas State. Kansas State won 10-9.
10-9 on the road.
All right, Kansas should have been ranked ranked the week prior.
Agree.
So I don't think you drop them out, but agree. Last thought on that.
We have our first I guess we had Will join us on another show. Drunk
Hey-o.
JP, what's up? Now you're muted.
You're muted.
Come on.
All right.
What's up, boys?
I did not recognize you in the dark screen.
Probably because
I do.
Probably because I'm sitting in
You're
the
sitting
garage.
in the driveway. Yeah, you're sitting in the driveway.
All right.
I thought he was outside of Generals. I thought he just walked out to talk to us for a minute.
All right, man. So tell us about your game day. Tell us.
My game day was my game.
You've got to come in with your steps you take. You got a Pac-12 preview, and you got to get it all. All right, so go. What's up?
I pretty much all day. So I didn't get anything today until I got home and was fast forwarding all afternoon.
John, he was at the pumpkin patch.
Let's stay on this Kansas thread real quick though, because I like talking about Kansas.
You should, because they lost.
Rock chalk, baby.
I'm all about it.
They lost. Yeah, they lost. I'm fascinated with Kansas right now because I honestly thought I did bet on Kansas to cover 7.5, but I don't know that I fully believed it. Like I think it's kind of like Kansas has been a covering machine. If you're into bet it, 5-0 against the spread.
I think TCU was either 4-1 or 5-0 too.
Yeah.
Kansas is going to Oklahoma next week too. That's interesting to me because Oklahoma's 3-3, but they're still Oklahoma. Are you taking?
They are.
They're wearing the jerseys, is what I'm saying.
True, but they lost to Kansas State at home. Texas beat them. 49-0 today. I mean, I don't know that Oklahoma is Oklahoma. Graham,
what are you wearing? You're muted. What are you wearing?
An ascot. Oh,
I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Oh, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
I'm wearing a jacket. I'm on my porch. It's cold outside.
He's out west.
Yeah.
Welcome.
How about that gap scheme, Graham?
I thought it went well. I was happy with it. I thought it was. Everybody guys. At halftime, I tweeted something about Stetson Bennett had a bad half, but he's also average 300 yards a game, and my mentions got absolutely shredded with anger and vitriol, dudes that we heard from every week last year about how Georgia couldn't win a title with Stetson out of the woodwork this afternoon for 30 minutes. I'm not
I'll take it.
It's fine to be critical of
on
his
the
performance, but they need to pull Stetson for Carson Beck and just some really were going on, and
that's wild.
Yeah, it was too much. I mean, like, I did. I'll put the second deep ball on Ladd more than him, but like that dude, that time was extremely frustrating.
Ladd took a stutter step and he slowed down for a half a second, and that would have been a touchdown or at least a big gainer.
Correct.
But my own pet, because the offensive line played good, Georgia's ceiling to me is higher after this game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agree. Yeah, I think what I saw today was, seeing the depth at running back, seeing receivers actually get separation, even though the balls, even though we didn't hit on some of them, there was actual separation today that we haven't seen, and seeing that offensive line, like all three of those together, I think Georgia's ceiling is higher after this game than it was before, like you were saying, Graham, because those were three things this year that I was like, are we ever going to see this year?
I just like the Graham.
Yeah, and I mean,
Graham has a win going on Dawgs Central Forum. It's amazing. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. What did you say?
I said you've got like a wind machine. It's like you've got a fan. It's blowing your hair. It looks amazing. Continue.
Great.
Oh,
you look like John Bon Jovi is what you look like, and that's a compliment, my friend. 1989, really Bon Jovi. Yeah, feather hair.
My backyard is very luxurious.
Just a beautiful man.
Pretty handsome for a man.
How did y'all think Rosamie St. Jack played today? I thought St. Jack looked pretty good.
I kind of like the St. Jack thing.
That was his name. That would be a cool name, but it ain't.
Glam. Okay,
as
the
long
YouTube
as
chat.
He actually blocks.
Wait a second. I need to point out some on the YouTube chat. Glam Coffee.
That just stuck. That's on. It's over. I'm going to start a burner right now at
Glam Coffee.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All
But
right.
no, I mean, I don't know. My thing though is just like, I feel like every team has flaws right now, but I've been listening to Georgia fans tell me like for 2 months that like we need to be worried about shit is not serious. Can we please finally like stop talking about Kentucky to beat Georgia? Because they never work.
No,
I never
They
really
almost beat
talked about
South
it,
Carolina today, so respect the Wildcats.
Respect to the Wildcats.
Respect the
Yes, indeed.
They almost beat South Carolina. They only lost to South Carolina by 10. They're pretty good at home.
Listen. So Graham just made a point that I think we should double click on for folks watching.
Oh my God, dude! Riker just missed another field goal.
Milrow almost threw it.
So all teams have flaws. That's exactly where I was going. Graham just pointed out all teams have flaws. Alabama just missed another field goal, a 35-yard attempt. It's 24-17, Texas A&M. Mississippi State beat Texas A&M by 18 points last week, and it wasn't even that close. Like Mississippi State, I mean, they had like 475 yards of offense versus Texas A&M last week. Texas A&M had like 4 turnovers. I mean, it was just bad. And this Alabama team Texas A&M is within 1 score of this game. So yes, I know Alabama's playing with a backup quarterback before Alabama fans come in my mentions, but every team has flaws, man. It's not. I honestly was one of those. I was one of those people the first 3 weeks of the season where I felt like, is Georgia just going to run away from everybody? But now, you get 6 weeks in, and there aren't any perfect teams out there.
I still feel like Georgia's ceiling is higher than anybody's. At least like that can. I mean, I reserve the right to change that opinion at any time. But I feel like
you get skill players healthy.
Yeah.
As long as they give the ball to Dejan Edwards.
I really just
Craig, I like
The only thing better than our chat is my constant thread of Alabama Ted texts coming in. Like if they lose, I'm gonna send this link and we're gonna put Alabama Ted on. Actually, maybe just if I'm gonna text him.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Alabama's trying to give this game away.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go watch Rappin and say hello.
All right.
All right.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Glam.
See you, Glam.
Epic.
All right. Let's talk about
Glam.
What else do we want to talk about what else do we want to talk about in the last few minutes? Because I want to go watch this game too. Now that it's a 1-score game with just a few minutes left in the game.
Has Alabama had the same kicker for the last 8 years? Because I feel like it's the same guy. I don't know
that's
what
Auburn.
their names are.
No, that's Auburn. With all the Carlsons.
It's the same name. But there was a significant drop off from one Carlson to the next one.
They just put a player card of his face on the intro from the commercial break.
Oh wow.
Poor kid.
We're in Tuscaloosa. Do you suck at kicking? Yes, I do. Would you like to play for Alabama? Yes, I would.
And
come on, sign up.
Alabama is shitting the bed.
Yeah,
inject this into my veins.
Okay. All right, anybody got anything in the YouTube chat? Any questions you want to ask? Y'all got anything to bring up before we call it a wrap and go watch?
Jermaine Burton has a 15-yard penalty and a touchdown. I just want to put that out there. Do with that information what you will.
Productive even.
Do with that. Yeah. It's his first touchdown, I think, since week 1. So that's why you come to Alabama, baby, according to KD on Twitter. My guy.
Nice.
He's had a pretty good game.
All right.
It's not him. It's not his problem.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. One question before you go. All right. Go around robin. What's the line for Florida?
For Georgia, Florida?
Georgia, Florida.
Oh gosh, is there a line?
17?
I can't find a look ahead line.
24.
24, 17.
I think 17 is the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the floor.
Right. I'm thinking low 20s somewhere.
Low 20s.
So 24.
I think Georgia's going to open as a. I'm going to go 20 and a half. I think is what Georgia's going to open as a favorite versus
Dawgs
Florida.
Has the best win of the zone.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
I like.
They only have one loss.
Yeah, if Oregon wins tonight, I mean, you are in a situation where Oregon will move into the top 10, right? I mean, Oregon's going to be a top 10 team next week in the rankings if they beat Arizona.
They may be the best Oregon team in the Pac-12.
Boat race everybody.
They could be.
I mean, Oregon. So Utah is in the AP poll today. You have Utah ahead of Oregon, so they're going to drop. You have I don't think Ole Miss will drop. You got Penn State who had a bye, so they're not going to drop. But yeah, you're basically looking at Oregon knocking on the door of the top 10, and there's no other. They're the best. With Utah losing to UCLA, Oregon will be the highest rated one-loss team in the country. And what I love about that, guys, on the eve of Georgia Auburn, is they are doing this with Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been. We gave Bo Nix so much shit because of how he played versus Georgia.
Beat him 49-3.
Yeah, we beat him 49-3. We're like, same old Bo. That guy has been balling against these other teams that they played. I mean, Bo Nix has been playing really good football. And tonight versus Arizona so far, he's 15 of 17 for 227 yards, and he's run for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he has 250 yards of total offense, 15 of 17 and 2 touchdowns.
Can I make a Georgia connection real quick with Bo Nix?
Yes, please.
Did you guys know that Bo Nix's grandfather was the legendary Northside High School coach Conrad Nix from Warner Robins, Georgia?
Interesting.
Yeah,
did he play?
No, he did not. So his dad his dad's also a head coach. He's always played for his dad. Yeah. But Bo's
kind of got the
grandfather
look going on, just fucking sitting in my chair.
Yeah. So
not do that.
I just recently learned that, and I live in Warner Robins. I'm not from here, but that I found that pretty interesting.
Hey, did you know that Jake Fromm played on the Warner Robins Little League World Series team?
Did you know that Wesley Steiner, who Darnell Washington knocked out today and got a 15-yard penalty for, also went to Jake Fromm's high school, Houston County High School?
Amazing. Did you know that Tyler Fromm, who played for Auburn, also played high school football with Jake Fromm because they're
that's a related. Goddamn lie. There's no way that's true.
Somebody asked, Jeremy asked about how we're feeling about Tennessee, Mississippi State. I was like, well,
great question, Jeremy.
Jeremy, that's 2 of our 3 losses we got coming up, right? That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well played.
John, we have Tennessee.
Sorry,
so we're gonna,
sorry, Jeremy, if you know.
Let's actually talk about this real briefly. So that, we have Tennessee and Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a little ways away. Mississippi State does look legit as of now, but by the time we go to Mississippi State, they will have played a lot more football. I am the type of person that
A&M
I don't
play for the game right now.
Yeah, it's not. It's got 6 minutes left. It's not quite the game, but it is 4th and 2.
4th and 2.
It's not the game though. With 6 minutes left.
No.
So listen. So here's what I'll say: Mississippi State. I don't trust Mike Leach. I just don't. I don't like Mississippi State can be a top 10 team when Georgia goes to Starkville, and I don't trust Mike Leach. What I'll also say is Mississippi State has Alabama before they play Georgia. So they have Alabama on October 22nd. So we're going to know a lot about Mississippi State. Tennessee is one. Tennessee's secondary is trash, but that's one that every week that goes by, we'll learn a lot when they play Alabama next week, but every week that goes by, or will we learn a lot when they play Alabama? Because Alabama right now could lose to Texas A&M.
Is Tennessee 2022 or 2020 Alabama or 2019 LSU? I don't think so.
No.
They're pretty good offensively, but they're not that level. And that they're kind of being talked up as that.
Well, I don't maybe they're being talked up as that. What I do think with Tennessee is what Auburn, so Robbie Ashford, trying to get out of the pocket, what he did today, what Brady Cook tried to do, getting out of the pocket and having Georgia's secondary get lost, is what Tennessee can do really, really well.
Because Hooker can throw it.
He can and he can move. He can move and he can throw it. And they have wide receivers that can actually find open spots. And so
the other guys couldn't throw it.
No, they couldn't throw it. And that Brady Cook kid really couldn't move. We just missed tackles left and right. But yeah, Hendon Hooker makes me nervous if I'm a Georgia fan. What doesn't make me nervous is Tennessee's defense. I don't care what happened to LSU. Tennessee's defense is hot garbage, man. They are not good. That secondary in particular, and so I guess we'll see.
Plus, that Kirby's going to play coy with which quarterback's going to start, so they're not going to know who to prepare for.
Tim has reminded everyone that Georgia is going 0-3 in November. So I hope everyone enjoys this run that the Dogs are on. I think we're probably going to, we'll go in 9-0, and then we're just going to lose.
Full disclosure: Tim was my college roommate at one point, so that's where some of that comes from. I have one question on Mississippi State as opposed to Tennessee, because I have not watched much Mississippi State. Like, do they have any semblance of a defense? That's my question.
Their defensive front is good.
Okay. They converted. Nice.
They're solid on the defensive front at Mississippi State. So they stopped Arkansas on like a 4th or I think it was like 3 times within 2 yards of the goal line today with KJ Jefferson.
Yeah.
Like their defensive front is solid.
Yeah, Mississippi State, the combination of that air raid, and I will say I think Mississippi State is one of the most physical teams on defense in the SEC West. I mean,
Yes.
they will hit you. Like that team, it's a dirty little defense. And so very different from Tennessee. I just don't Tennessee's defense just doesn't scare me. And I will say candidly, it's because of what I watched them do. Anthony Richardson threw for like 89 yards versus Missouri today. He was like 8 of 16 for like 89 yards. He threw for 453 yards at Tennessee. like, I mean, come on. So all that to say,
Oh shit!
To answer,
There's a girl. I'm sorry. There's a girl in the USC game that had USC girls suck.
What? So
sorry. I got too many TVs going on.
Yes, you do. So to answer the question, Jeremy, not nervous about Tennessee's offense, not really nervous about Mississippi State. So on a scale of if offense, defense times 2 is a scale of 4 being full nervous, I am a 1.
Fair.
All right. I think we should call it a night and watch
we're an hour
Alabama.
in.
We're
Thank
all
you. Yeah. And we're gonna watch the end of this Alabama A&M game, and we're gonna do this again. This was fun. Might be just me next time, but I'm doing it.
I'm in.
Good.
All right.
See y'all.
That's a bulldog face.